Miss Elms here. We're here today to do area day 3. So grab your computer, let's get started.
Area day 3, decomposing figures to find the area. So we're going to be using Google Slides today. If you go to my school, you're going to have an assignment called area day 3. And if you do not, you can follow along with a piece of paper and a pencil. So we're going to do a math routine today called Which One Doesn't Belong. So the first thing I want you to do is I want you to say, what do you notice? And I want to hear you say, I noticed that, or one thing I notice is, and this is a good time to pause if you want to have more think time. Now I want you to think about which areas or which pictures are similar. And I want to hear you say, I think blank and blank are similar because. And now I want you to think about which areas are different or which pictures are different. Or which one do you think doesn't belong? And I want you to say why you think it doesn't belong. What makes it different? So we've been learning about area. Area is the number of unit squares that cover the surface of a closed figure. And we measure area in square units. So we're counting all of those squares or all of those boxes. So how do we measure the area? We measure the area by counting the number of square units or the number of squares. We can also find the area by multiplying. We can multiply the length or the size of the longest side by the width, which is the size of the shortest side or the shorter side. So we're going to be learning something new today. We're going to be decomposing, say that with me, decomposing to find the area. Decomposing is breaking rectangular figures into smaller rectangles. So sometimes rectangles or shapes can be complex or really big. So we can break them into smaller rectangles to help us find the area a little bit easier. So step 1, decompose. So that's break the rectangular figure into smaller rectangles. Step 2, identify the area of rectangle 1 using a strategy you know. So strategies we have learned are count the unit squares to find the area or multiply the length times the width. If you were going to count, you would just count all the blue squares. If you want to use strategy 2, you'd multiply the length, which is 4, there are 4 squares along the longest side, times the width, which has 2 squares. 4 times 2 equals 8. So the area of rectangle 1 is 8 square units. Step 3. Identify the area of rectangle 2 using a strategy you know. And like the blue rectangle, you can either count the squares or you can multiply. I'm going to multiply the length times the width for this one because it's a bigger rectangle and it would take longer for me to count them. So I know that the length or the longest side is 7 units and the width or the shorter side has 3 squares. So 7 times 3 is 21 square units. That's what the area of rectangle 2 would be. Step 4, add the areas. So add the areas of rectangle 1 and rectangle 2 together to find the area of the whole figure. So we found out that the area of rectangle 1 was 8 square units, and the area of rectangle 2 was 21 square units. And if we're trying to find the area of the whole shape or the whole figure, we would just add those. 8 square units plus 21 square units equals 29 square units. So that would be our total area, or the area of the whole figure, that green one. So we're going to be decomposing figure A to find the area. So step 1, I already did this for you, which was break the rectangular figure into smaller rectangles. Your job is to help me figure out the area of the smaller rectangles. That's rectangle 1, rectangle 2, and rectangle 3. This will help us find the area of the whole figure, or figure A. So step 2, identify the area of rectangle 1 using a strategy you know. You could do strategy 1, which is count the unit squares to find the area, or you could do strategy 2, multiply the length times the width to find the area. So I want you to think, what is the area of rectangle 1? That's the blue one. How do you know? And I want you to use the sentence stem. I think the area of rectangle 1 is because... So the area of rectangle 1 is 18 square units. All right, step 3. Identify the area of rectangle 2 using a strategy you know. So you can use strategy 1, count the unit squares, or strategy 2, multiply the length times the width. So what is the area of rectangle 2? That's the yellow one. How do you know? And I want to hear you say, I think the area of rectangle 2 is because the area of rectangle 2 is 4 square units. Step 4. Identify the area of rectangle 3 using a strategy you know. So you can use strategy 1, which is count the unit squares, or you can use strategy 2, which is multiply the length times the width. So what is the area of rectangle 3? How do you know? So I think the area of rectangle 3 is because, and I want to hear you say that. The area of rectangle 3 is 6 square units. So our fifth and final step is add the areas of rectangle 1, rectangle 2, and rectangle 3 together to find the area of the whole figure, of the entire shape. So we found out that the area of rectangle 1 was 18 square units, the area of rectangle 2 was 4 square units, and the area of rectangle 3 was 6 square units. So what is the area of figure A, or the whole shape? How do you know? And I want to hear you say, I think the area of figure A is because... And I'm going to give you a hint. Here's an equation to help you. 18 plus 4 plus 6. So the area of figure A is 28 square units. So here are some good websites to continue your math learning. If you go to my school, you can do iReady Math, Extra Math. If you want extra practice, you can do Khan Academy, ABC Yeah, or Prodigy. So stay tuned for Area Day 4.
Alright, I hope you liked that video. Stay tuned for Area Day 4.